Hey YouTube, if you have 10 minutes plus time to ground beef, you have time to make your own sloppy joes from scratch. And once you make these, you're probably never going to buy the little packet of spice mix or whatever it is at the store again, because this takes almost the same time, 8 ingredients, and it will be so good. I am actually making a big giant batch and I'm going to be canning it. It's almost hunting season, and this is one of my husband's favorite things to take, to just crack open a jar and have a quick hot lunch or dinner at camp. If you're just getting ready to go camping or hunting, or you're just wanting to put something on the shelf that's easy for the family to just crack open and have a quick meal, I'm going to show you how to do that and you'll know what's in it. Let's check it out. I'm starting with 6 pounds of our homegrown beef that we had butchered and processed. This is just a little bit of it to get started because I'm doing one frying pan at a time. While I'm waiting for this pan to get up to medium-high heat, I'll show you just the simple ingredients that are going into this. I've got my ground beef and I've got more in the microwave waiting to defrost. You're going to be using a swirl, like a tablespoon of olive oil to go in the pan, and we're doing beef, but we're still going to add a little bit of olive oil. We've got the oil warming up, and the only ingredients you're going to need to make this amazing dish, I'm going to use freeze-dried onion, which you can use just chopped fresh onion. I don't feel like going out to the garden and getting some, so I'm going to use up some of my freeze-dried. We've got organic brown sugar, and we're going to be combining that with basically a steak seasoning blend, or Johnny's or Lowry's seasoning salt, whatever you have that's like that. We're going to be combining those two things. We've got Worcestershire sauce, we've got red wine vinegar, and I've got ketchup. And you can use tomato paste here, but I'm using ketchup just because I don't have tomato paste and I like to improvise. And instead of tomato sauce, I'm going to be putting in some of my just canned tomatoes from the garden. And I'm not going to be straining these. I may pull off some of the liquid and put them in, but because I have freeze-dried onions going in, I'm going to probably let the liquid be because it will help go into the onions and soften them up. And that is all you need. That's it. And I mean, you could pump this up with garlic or whatever you want at the end, but this makes just perfect. So let's get the meat browned and I will show you how simple this is to make. And I want to get this all broken up pretty small, so kind of watch it as it cooks and just keep it, keep breaking it up so it's nice and fine, because you're going to want it to be saucy and you want every piece of beef to have lots of that lovely sauce. And while that's cooking, I'm just going to go ahead and add my seasoning mix right to my brown sugar and just whisk it to combine, because we're going to be adding those two together to the meat as soon as it's browned. And then I'm going to mix the red wine vinegar and the Worcestershire, just combine those in one little measuring cup. And I will post the full recipe for a single batch of this in the description below, so if you need to see the quantities and things that we're doing, you can jump down there and take notes from there. Once your meat is almost browned, you can add, and this is doing 2 batches, so I'm just adding half of that mix, the sugar and seasoning salt right to the meat. And we're not draining the meat, we're leaving all the good fat and all of that yummy stuff right in there. We're just gonna stir that around to combine it and give it just a couple more minutes to finish browning. It looks like it's pretty much all the way brown though. And then you can use bell peppers here too. I do not like bell peppers at all, so I leave them out. I barely like onions. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some of these onions, and we're just gonna toss them right on top. And again, if these were fresh onions, you could do chopped, diced fresh onion. You could saute the onion and add it to this to add just like a little extra layer of flavor. I'm just doing it this way. Add your red wine vinegar and Worcestershire to that mix, like that. And at this point, we'll leave it to cook for 5 minutes. The only thing I will warn you, if you make this and you send it with your husband for lunches, my husband likes to take this to lunch in a jar and heat it up at midday, and he shared it with some of the guys he worked with, and we got requests for him to please bring it again. So I said, I'm not gonna, empty your pantry to do that, but I will send him the recipe. So be ready to share the recipe with anyone that tastes this, because it's just so good and it's so easy. Like, you'll never want to buy the store-bought stuff again. This is just really good. Look how gorgeous this looks after 5 minutes. Oh my goodness. And here is where we're going to add the tomato. I'm going to start with the ketchup, or if you were going to use paste, you could do that. Stir that in a bit. I'm going to turn the heat down just a hair. And you can see that becoming kind of nice and saucy. And if you have tomato sauce or tomatoes canned like I'm using, they're just going to go in now. And we're going to combine that all together. Cook this down for another 5 minutes. And if you find that your tomatoes are bigger than you want for your sauce, as far as, you know, chunks, if you're not using a straight canned sauce, you can just take 2 knives and just go through, make like a little X motion, and you can cut those up and just kind of hit the bigger pieces of tomato with the knives and cut them up until they look like they're smaller and kind of, you know, the right size to be in a sloppy joe. And we kind of like the chunks of tomatoes, so I don't mind them. But again, if you're using a sauce, you wouldn't have this. You'd just have a nice, smoother, non-chunky tomato thing going on here. I just like to use the canned tomatoes that I get out of the garden every summer. I'm just going to stir this for another 5 minutes. And this is ready to serve if you want to serve it. Get some big, soft brioche rolls or whatever your favorite bun is. And I'm going to cook that. I would cook this down just a little bit just to evaporate some of the liquid off there, but you can make it as saucy or not as you want. And there you have the most amazing sloppy joes you'll ever taste. And you can can this and put it in the pantry to serve later in the year. If you want to put this in your pantry in jars, I'm going to be canning it and posting that video when it's ready. It will be right here. In the meantime, please enjoy this video that YouTube thinks you might like to watch next. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.